What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Pohada Podcast. As usual, I am Matt Browse, the host of these conversations, and I'm also the guy behind the camera at Pohada Photography, at Pohada Photography on Instagram, and at the Pohada Podcast on Instagram. Please do check both those out. If you haven't already, we're throwing up the video versions of these conversations on YouTube. Just type in the Pohada Podcast and you'll find it. This time around, I've got a little bit more of an everyman conversation with regards to jiu-jitsu. My guy, Lerichard Foral, who just got his blue belt at the academy where I train, M Theory Martial Arts in St. Louis Park, Minnesota. I think you will appreciate some of his comments, some of his insights, and just the fact that he is now a blue belt. Like I said, it's kind of the normal human being version to help balance out some of these 7 years to black belt people that we've talked with on the show. Without further ado, my buddy Lerichard. Brian Hollenbeck, one of the black belts up on the wall. He's in Hairball.
Oh, yeah.
Familiar, I'm assuming. Yep. Yeah. And they tour all over. I went and saw him one time. Not really my genre.
Yeah.
But I'm in for, going to see people and have a good time with it.
Totally.
They do like a regular New Year's Eve show at Medina.
Yep.
And the problem with that, good thing about that is proximity. That's close.
Right.
The bad thing about it is New Year's Eve. Like I made it to like 10:30, man. I can't do that late night stuff. That's not my scene. I'm not really a concert goer, not a stay up later kind of guy. So it didn't really work out, but it was fun to see him perform and stuff.
For sure.
What was your band?
I was in for like 14 years. I was in a band called After the Burial.
Yeah, I've seen you post like memories or something on social media where the name was on it or something.
Yeah, I stopped touring in 2016 when I became a dad.
Yeah. It's probably the right move.
Some other stuff. Yeah, I was on the road like 6 to 8 months out of the year, traveling internationally, averaging like 25, 30 flights a year. Just like I was living out of a suitcase. So.
Do I know any After the Burial tunes? Have I encountered your stuff?
Maybe. If you listen to progressive metal or heavy metal
and
or
that's
metalcore,
or you know what I mean. I'll pick a song and let the thing play. I don't know, man. I bet I've heard your guys' stuff.
Maybe. It's kind of a Minnesota thing too, because there's not a lot of heavy metal bands out of here that are.
Sure, yeah, and that's kind of what I mean is like the algorithms take you to stuff like that. It seems like.
Yeah, so if you listen to anything like Meshuggah or
right,
what else do I want to say?
Things in that neighborhood.
Yeah,
and the answer is yes.
Gojira, or
right?
Suicide Silence, or
that's kind of cool. I guarantee you, I've heard it.
You probably have.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. The modern media and algorithms are kind of bullshit, but that's sort of a cool thing that odds are I've heard your tunes.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not like a follower of metal, I'll tune into metal.
Sure.
Yeah,
I don't listen to a lot of it either, but I end up listening to it sometimes now.
It's like if you work at a pizza shop, you don't want to eat that pizza. Now that you're out of the tour.
It's funny when I was touring all the metal, like we would just listen to rap most of the time.
Sure.
All the metal bands, because you listen to it all night long.
Yeah, your palate. You need to cleanse that palate with something else. You're just not even in the mood.
Wipe it clean with something totally different.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm mostly like a country kind of guy, and like good country, not like pop plastic
like good
country.
Yeah, because nobody likes bad country.
Yeah. Who likes bad anything? Actually, most people like bad country, as it turns out.
Most people do. It's popular. It's like, I think the people that listen to the radio primarily, I heard I don't know statistics, but that 90% of people that listen to the radio are listening to country music on the radio.
It's gigantic. And it's the gross, it's sort of fun once or twice to hear this tune or that tune, but then you're like, okay, I got it. It's that like plastic,
It's not even country anymore.
Yeah. But there is good throwback style country, like sort of outlaw style, true Western tunes. Anyway, I've gone on about it on an episode or two of this, so if there's any repeat listeners at this point, they're going, God, him and this country music. Yeah, Sturgill Simpson, we got it. We know. That was fun. But I'm here to talk to you about jiu-jitsu and stuff more than anything.
Yeah.
First things first, Lee, Are you not a Leroy?
My first name is actually Lerichard.
Lerichard. I learned that from Facebook. My extensive pre-show prep. I'm named after
my dad.
I've never seen that name before.
Yeah. So there was my dad grew up in Nebraska to Czech parents, and they were like, let's give him an American sounding name. But there were too many Leroys. They like Leroy, but there's already a bunch of Leroys.
So they gave you a name that like...
So they gave my dad a name. They're like, Lerichard, that sounds pretty American.
Yeah. I mean, and it does.
And it does. Yeah, but so my dad's the only one that I know of that also has it.
It's sort of French, though.
Yeah, I get people like try to pronounce my name when they say it. They go Lerichard.
Lerichard, yeah.
I go, well, actually, it's Lerichard.
But Le space Richard is like the Dick.
Well, Dick is short for Richard. Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Your name is the Dick.
It's not the first time that's been observed.
Of course. Not since 8th grade, though, right?
Yeah, people yeah.
I like it. That's cool. It's a unique name. I didn't know if sometimes people just put nonsense names on Facebook and stuff. But
nope, that's me.
I kind of figured that was like a cool, unique name you had.
I go by Lee. Less of an explanation.
Yeah, nobody calls
easier to pronounce,
and nobody calls me Matthew. Like we all got stuff.
What would you do if they did? Would you be okay with it?
Bro, I'd have an anxiety.
Would you feel like
attack.
You're in trouble?
Yeah, I'd have an anxiety attack. What did I do? Definitely. When did you join up at our shared Jiu-Jitsu academy, M Theory Martial Arts?
So I've been back. It will be a year in July, mid-July. But I originally signed up
at M Theory.
Okay. About 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And then
that must have been like week 1 of M Theory. Am I wrong? Like
that was it.
How old is the gym?
No, the gym had been there for a little while before that.
Okay. It hasn't been around all that long.
No, because there are still people who at the gym now that were there when I obviously
yes.
Max had just started when I was like exiting.
Yeah, Max Lundeen.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was 8 years ago. And then let's see, Dan. What's Dan's last name? He's got a really hard to pronounce last name.
That's why you don't know it.
Yeah. Scrady was there.
Yeah. Tall Tom.
Yep. There's a few people that are still there. It's good to see how far they've come in that 7-8 years.
That is cool to see.
Yeah.
To be able to see it at the start and see it at the finish.
To see where
people can go there.
Yeah.
And they're ninjas now.
They are.
Yeah.
Not to be trifled with.
Definitely not to be trifled with. So how long did you do it when you first joined up? How long were you around?
I was at it for about 6 months. And then all sorts of life happened to me.
Yes, it does, right? That's kind of why the story is curious to me, and personal details are up to you. But
yeah, I have nothing to. I'm not hiding from anybody.
Sure.
So
it's one of those things where it's like an everyman story. Like people think, oh, you join and you just kick ass 6 days a week for 8 years, and now I'm awesome at the thing. Well, that ain't how life works out all the time.
Right.
Sometimes you got to show up again. Right.
So yeah, I was introduced to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'd been training Krav Maga for 5 years or something like that, and there's this guy Eugene Garrett that started doing jiu-jitsu classes in the crowd gym, and I was like, oh well, this is totally different than Krav Maga. Krav Maga is like stay on your feet, you know what I mean, get away, anything you can do is like real nasty, throat punches and eye pokes and kicks to the groin and whatever it takes,
right,
to kind of like get yourself out of a bad situation in whatever way you can.
And the focus is stay on the feet so you can get the hell out of there.
Get away.
Yeah.
You're not gonna stick around to fight. You're gonna first try to get away. It's pure self-defense if you're familiar with the Krav stuff. And then I was like, okay, well, jiu-jitsu is completely different, totally different. Let's go to the ground. I'm like, what a perfect marriage of martial arts almost for self-defense, right? If I'm go there, what am I going to do? Whatever.
It's good to train to get away, but what if you don't get away?
What if you wind up on the ground? What am I going to do? Try to get up and get away again. Yeah.
How do I get up though?
Yeah. How do you get up anyhow? So I took a couple of his classes and I was like, oh, this is cool. And then a friend of mine was doing jiu-jitsu. He's like, yeah, you should find a gym that's specific. And, I found M Theory. And like I said, then I was like, bought a gi, and, you know, I was like, okay, I'm going like 2 classes a day, 5 days a week. I'm really into it. I got time to do it when I was at home because I wasn't, you know, on the road. I was kind of sticking around. My son had just been born, and then I got in a spot where I hurt my back. I have like no disc left between my L5 and my S1. I was injured. I was a new parent. I suffered some little personal tragedy. I lost my brother and my guitar player in the same week. In 2016.
Hold on, same guy or two?
2 different people within a week. Okay. My brother is a year older than me, and then my guitar player, I'd been, you know, playing music with him for 13 years.
They call that a brother.
Yeah, it's family.
Of sort. Yeah.
And at that time, I wasn't really planning on not playing music for a living anymore. But with all these things happening, I was like, you know what? Maybe my band was like, we had a tour lined up, and we decided to not go on tour and to stay at home. And I was like, during this time, I was like, well, I'm going to stay at home, and I'm going to be a dad, and I'm just going to like hang out. I'm going to be done touring. But then I was like, my back was hurt, and I was like laid out for a while, and just I got taken away from jiu-jitsu by all these things happening in life. And so yeah, and then I just was kind of like being a dad, working, and it just didn't get back to me. Fast forward 7 years, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. 8 years almost. And my son's mom, she's like, let's get Rocco into some martial arts. I was like, this is a great idea. I love it. You know what I mean? He's a little disciplined, be around some other kids, you know.
Make him tired for crying out loud.
You know, get him some exercise.
Tucker him out.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, well, immediately I go, jiu-jitsu. Let's take him to M Theory. Sign him up. I know they got kids classes, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, well, if he's going, this is the perfect time for me to just step back into it. I should be going.
You got to be there anyway.
What have I been doing? Yeah, I'm not going to go to my kids' class and then not. I couldn't. I like, as soon as I stepped into the gym to like take him, I was like, I need to be here. I need to. Right. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
I just like, the itch was so real. Being away from it, I was like, you know, I miss it. I thought about it a lot. You know, I continue to follow some, you know, like MMA and stuff like that, and it's still, it was an interest, but I was like, I should be here. Is how I felt.
Yeah.
When I took him to his class that first time, when I was like, I'm here, I'm taking him to his class. I'm like, okay, this is where I got to be.
Right. So the kid, what's your kid's name?
Rocco.
Rocco, you said that. Sorry.
That's
I
right.
think I knew that anyway, actually. It was a piece of what pulled you away from jiu-jitsu, but then it was the thing that pulled you back to it.
Totally.
It's pretty neat.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's easy daycare too. Like, especially like the essentials class Saturday morning. You go to your class, I'll go to my class. I don't have to worry about dropping them off anywhere. No, it's great. It's awesome. Yeah, I love it. Like, I work at night, but like, I get myself up. I have to find reasons to not go, to take breaks. I'm like, well, I shouldn't, because like I'm injured or I'm tired, but I'm like, I'm gonna go anyways. So like, I'm like, I talk myself out of going when I shouldn't, you know? Yeah.
But yeah, I love Saturday mornings because we're both there kind of doing our thing.
That's cool. It's cool.
You know, I think he enjoys that too. That we're both there doing it at the same time.
Right.
You know,
did you do any other athletics and stuff? I mean, you said Krav Maga or whatever, but like, you're a football guy back in the day, anything like that?
I played high school sports.
Yeah. Just like we all did.
Yeah, basketball, football. Like halfway through high school, I kind of stopped doing that, and then I was just skateboarding and snowboarding my life away. I grew up in the Black Hills, and there was all sorts of outdoor stuff to do out there, mountain biking and
space.
Yeah. So, but that's as far as I, you know.
Not a lot in the way of competition. Like that was never really your drive. I guess I'm curious, what's your interest and drive with jiu-jitsu now, other than just doing it?
It's it's a thing I found that, like, when I'm doing it, there's nothing else going on in my head. I'm just taken away from everything completely, and I'm only doing jiu-jitsu. So it's you know, it's meditative. It's like mind cleansing. You know, it's like freeing in a way that you're so in the moment. that the world melts away. That and like traffic is so much less stressful after, an hour of having you sit on top of me and try to choke me.
3 minutes tops.
Well, whatever,
That's
you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I totally, and I mean, I've heard people say both those things before. It is sort of hard to feel anxious and excited and angry at having to slow down a little bit on the road when you're kind of dog tired and you just saved your own life a few times in a way.
Right. Hypothetically. Right.
Yeah.
Right. You put yourself in that position of stress to be less stressed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You kind of like temper yourself to stress.
Yeah.
In a way through it. And that's something I've thought about too as I'm doing. I'm like, well, this is great. I mean, it's that, and it's the hardest work I've ever done in any type of gym.
How does training for Krav Maga stuff compare in terms of like caloric expenditure or exertion?
I don't think it touches it. I mean, live sparring,
Sure.
because you're fighting.
Yeah.
And I really looked forward to those. We used to have live sparring every Tuesday. Shin guards, headgear, mouthpiece, cup.
Okay. Now, for real
Open
kind
hand.
of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
yeah, it's still training, but
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you're getting punched in the face and kicked and taken down and all those things. So in the sparring aspect, that's the fight. Still, the grappling aspect is more. Everybody knows that it takes more energy. So I don't know the numbers, but I know like how I feel after like one half hour, an hour of stand up rounds, as opposed to half hour, an hour of rounds of rolling,
Drowning rounds.
Yeah.
The art of drowning at the hand of someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'm familiar conceptually with Krav Maga, but like not at all like in practice. Like, do they live spar? Is it like karate where there's a lot of air punching or whatever? Guess I had no concept. So once a week, fundamentally,
Live sparring. Yeah. You're putting in work. You're putting to use the the techniques that you're learning, stuff like that. But yeah, there's bag work and there's a lot of situational training, like how am I going to deal with someone with a baseball bat? How am I going to deal with someone with a knife? How am I going to deal with someone with a firearm? Etc.
Run.
Yeah, pretty much. And then like if you can't, what do you do?
Yeah. Option B, option C.
Yep. They go over like defending yourself on a bicycle. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Where'd you do that?
In Minneapolis here.
What
Minneapolis Krav Maga.
Still around?
Is the gym is in it's kind of over by Lynn Lake still, I think.
Okay.
I think Gail Boxrun runs the gym.
Minneapolis Krav Maga. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I have to check it out.
Yeah.
Follow them and stuff.
Yeah.
There's
great people.
Krav Maga and Jiu-Jitsu and a few other things gym. Are they over the border in Wisconsin? Valley Self-Defense? God, I hate that I know everybody through the internet, because then I go to say their names in real life and I'm like, wait a minute, I need to picture it. But they were going to have me come out and do like a photo session of a seminar they were having, and it was motorcycle-based self-defense.
Okay.
So like, all right, you're on your bike, you're getting on, getting off, the whole transitional space things, but you're in this sort of kind of not great spot to like stand and square up to somebody.
Right.
What do you do? And it ended up getting canceled. I forget why, but I was just like, motorcycle self-defense. Like I hit somebody with a motorcycle. What in the world? But then they kind of explain me. I'm like, oh, it's actually pretty cool. Some of that like situationally specific stuff seems really worth putting some reps into.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like stay away from people.
It's step one, man.
Get away from them.
Move a little farther out, like I said earlier. That seems to be my impression from all these conversations that I've had from my couple years experience doing this jiu-jitsu stuff. The main benefit seems to be the situationally specific elements of sparring every single time you're there. And the situation being that guy is on top of me again with my arms over my head again. Over and over and over in like the worst possible position.
Yeah.
With the thing you alluded to earlier of like, it's mood management. It's like temperament management. All right, I'm in Fuckville, USA right now. Let's take a deep breath and try to find some space versus like the panic response.
Yeah, and I think that's so applicable just to everyday life. You know what I mean? Like the things that are normally stressful are less stressful. The things that are seemingly impossible to deal with are more possible to deal with. Just because of, like how your mind, I think, gets tuned for those situations.
Yeah, training the nervous system a little bit.
Yeah, to not panic.
Yeah. That's got to be the best, the strongest selling point and like the most valuable skill we're taking from the time we spend there.
Yeah, and I wonder, I don't know, but it seems like that because of it's repeatedly like that. I feel like that's maybe one of the reasons that people are kind of like, even like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I should be doing this. Like when you start out and you're put in that situation over and over again of a guy on top of you with your arms over your head, and it's over and over again. And it seems like, the
very thing they need, because it's like the best possible skill to just stay calm and stay the course, is the very thing that sends us on our way after a few months of frustration, is what you're saying.
I don't know.
I think it's right.
It's speculation.
No, I think that's totally right. And we are the authorities on the topic. Blue belts on the verge of quitting. Closer than ever after today's rounds with a fucking world champion.
I mean, it feels very new again.
Yeah.
Which I think is exciting. It reminds me of just starting again,
Mm-hmm. That's one of my favorite things of coming in. It was like the first time I was absolutely zero knowledge base at a thing. Like I was new guy. I well established in other areas, athletically and career wise or whatever. And then I joined up here and I was like, I got nothing. I don't even recognize the words he's saying. I have no idea what to do and how to move this way. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Being new is awesome and exciting for sure.
Yeah, it's fun to be in those situations. I mean, that's how for me, that's how I how I grow, to be thrown into situations I've never been in before. That's what traveling is so great, and being around people that you don't know, and cultures that are different. And it's like, wow, I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. You
a big travel guy?
I used to be.
I mean, independent of needing to do it to tour?
I'd take motorcycle trips. No,
sure.
I get out on the bike and do that. It's hard for me to be away from my son for more than a week.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Good. That seems like the right thing. Yeah.
So,
motorcycle road trip, man. Is that an exhausting experience as well as like I mean, yeah, I have a feeling you head out to the Black Hills or whatever.
Yeah, I'm from there, so
yeah.
I go back at least once a year.
It's a hell of a ride, though.
Yeah, it's like 10 hours. I'll do it in the day, or sometimes split it up. But I have a comfortable bike now. That helps. I've done it on very uncomfortable bikes.
Still, though.
Yeah, I've done it on a sport bike, and that I've never felt more beat up. I feel like after making the trip back I was coming back from the Black Hills on a 94 Kawasaki ZX-9R. If you don't know what that is, it's crotch rocket. Mm-hmm. It's not comfortable. It's fast.
Loading the upper body more because you're sitting more forward and all
Yep. I got rained on a few times. There was terrible wind. I just was beat.
Bro, that trip, my gal's got connections to South Dakota out there, and we've just road tripped a couple times out west. It's brutal in a car.
Yeah.
I've never ridden a motorcycle, so I'm kind of curious. Like,
I just take
damn.
On a motorcycle, you just take your time. You stop a lot.
Sure.
You everywhere there's like a historical thing, you stop. You know what I mean, or whatever.
Historical markers.
Yeah, you just take roads you normally wouldn't take.
Sure.
You don't go the easiest way. You go the most fun way.
Yeah.
And you take your time and you just enjoy it. It's like what. There's nothing that doesn't make me want to be outside all day long, running around on a motorcycle. I could do it all day long, sun up to sundown. I might be tired at the end of the day, but I'm not tired of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, physically tired but ready for more kind of deal.
Yeah,
So many of the sentences we just said seems to apply to
I
jiu-jitsu
was,
too.
yeah,
You don't take the easiest way, you take the most fun way or the most interesting way.
right. And if there's hardships along the way, right?
Good Lord, there's hardships along the way.
Yeah, if it was easy, it wouldn't be worth it.
That'd be easier though.
It would be easier.
You've had 2 first days at a jiu-jitsu gym 8 years ago or whatever, and then first day when you came back.
Yep.
Do you remember your first one when you came back?
I was thinking about that, and my first one when I came back.
Yeah, I was cued to ask you this for a very specific reason.
I remember a little bit. I remember that I was just not relaxed about it.
About
how I felt
coming in.
Like I was like a little bit, nervous.
Sure.
It felt like it was my first day again. I remember the feeling more than anything. It was a lot. I was super excited to be back. I was like I was saying before, I was like, when I brought my son, I was like, this is where I should be. I need to be on the mat. And I was like, man, I missed it so much, but I didn't know how much I missed it until I was there. So it was a lot. You know what I mean? I was kind of like all those things, excitement, anxiety, a little bit nervous. Like, what am I going to remember? What have I forgotten?
And I would assume July 2021 that the gym was pretty well rebounded from the COVID stuff. So there's probably like 50 people in essentials class when you walk in.
It was pretty busy.
Yeah.
It was pretty busy. I think. Yeah, it wasn't empty by any means.
Yeah. Bunch of noobs, but it's still sort of like,
Yeah.
Were you wearing a bright ass red gi?
That was the first time I rolled.
That was way back?
That was way back.
Okay. Ish was like,
he's like,
ask him about the first time he came here.
Yeah. Yeah, bright red.
And they were pickier back then about gi colors and stuff. They had like a rule about white gi or something.
It was white, blue or black or a variation of those. Okay, yeah. So
was the red like a Krav Maga thing?
No, I found a company that did gis for tall, lanky people in Canada called Red Star, and I was like, oh, I don't.
Perfect.
I was like, this looks great. That red gi. Yeah. I was like, that looks awesome. And I was like,
and it's gonna fit. For God's
and it's gonna
sake.
fit.
Yeah.
So I ordered this gi. I'm like, this is great. And he's like, no red gis. I was like, great. Okay, well, I'll get a blue one.
I might have appealed. I might have been like, listen, I don't like the red either, but it fits. You see,
it fits
because you have a dramatic structure. That's funny. Oh, so that was way back. Okay,
that was way back. Yeah, I haven't dared to try to wear it to class.
I think you should. After this gets posted, after this gets published,
show up in the red gi,
and a few other people in the gym
have
heard about it.
It's still brand new. It's barely been used.
Yeah,
there's only a couple other people it will fit.
I'm pro red gi. Just because I'm a troll.
I thought
like the embodiment of a troll.
I was like, I get it because there's like sort of like there's like a traditional aspect to, I know there's gyms that are only white gi, and that's like, you can see that it's clean and etc. And
looks cool on Instagram.
But I was wondering if, like, it wouldn't. I was like, is it going to leave a mark on the mat? I was, I went through a lot of like ideas in my head. I'm like, well, why don't they do other colors, or is it just a traditional aspect of it?
The whole culture of it seems to be moving more and more away from giving a shit. Like, there's green, there's a cat, there's like tie-dye gis, there's a cat from I think St. Paul Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or St. Paul, one of them over there who wears a bright ass pink gi when he competes. Like, it's just less, and everybody's relaxing, I think, about some of that stuff. The ink on the mat thing is some of the rash guards. You'll go in and there'll be these big smudge marks. That's somebody that didn't wash the rash guards ahead of time, and I think there's a quality of production
how the dye attaches to those spandexy fabrics. So that's pretty technical, right?
Spandexy fabric, spats is what they call the pants.
Yeah,
tights is what I call the pants.
Compression pants,
something like that. I don't know.
Spats.
Rocco likes the jiu-jitsu?
He does. He does. He doesn't always want to go, and if he doesn't want to go, I don't make him go. But I'm like, I'm gonna go. And if you don't want to do class, you don't have to do it.
So, but you at least get him through the door, like give him the
yeah. And then we're there. I'm like,
changing.
Then I go. Well, are you gonna do class? And he goes, yeah. Once he's there, he has a blast.
Yeah.
And then I usually ask him, I go, how'd it go? Did you have fun? He goes, yeah, I had fun. I go, you want to go again? He goes, of course. He looks at me like I'm crazy.
Yeah. What? When was this ever a question, Dad?
Yeah.
That's good life lesson stuff. Like, just show up. Right?
And then see how you
get
feel,
in the habit of just showing up, and then you can leave. And then you're in the same spot. You didn't do class, but show up and give it a shot.
Yeah.
You think it'd be like a competitive interest for him?
We'll see. He's not. He doesn't really seem. He's not super competitive, or I'm not really into sports. I don't watch sports.
Yeah,
I'm not super
competitive. That's kind of where I was at too back in the day. Yeah,
and so I don't know if he's just following, but he's showing some interest in soccer. So we'll see how that goes, and there's some competition there. If he likes that, it's different. It's a team. Jiu-jitsu. You definitely like. There's a team aspect, I think, in training.
Yeah.
You're there to help each other out, make each other better, this and that. And the competition aspect is you're kind of on your own.
Yeah. That winning and losing bit is kind of on you.
Yeah. So I don't know. He's 7. If he wants to compete, great. If he doesn't, either way, it can't hurt, obviously, to do it. I think it can only help. I have not competed. So, might I at some point? Probably.
Keep the door open, right?
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I can't say no or yes, but we'll see what happens.
I can say no. I've said no so many times on this podcast, and nope, not gonna do it. Not gonna compete.
Yeah,
it's because I'm a wimp, though. I'm old, man.
You're not
tired.
Don't say that. I'm older.
Yeah, but I got miles on you. I don't know, different kind of miles. We're weary.
Yeah,
is what it is.
But yeah, I don't know if he wants to compete. I would definitely encourage it. I wouldn't discourage him from doing it.
Think about 10 years from now, if he still does it.
He'll be a monster.
I think about that with all those kids, like
any of them.
Yeah, and even at the low level, any of those kids 10 years from now, if they keep doing it, think of how like amazing at jiu-jitsu that kid is going to be. Like,
well, I think that it's hard to even imagine like where they would be if they continue to do it for 10 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Especially starting that early in like motor pattern development, like that 8 to 12 is kind of prime gross motor pattern development. So you take somebody that started there, add 10 years of practice. Like the highest level competitor at our gym started at like 14 or 16, Marcus.
Yeah.
So he was a late start. This goddamn ninja.
Compared to these kids.
That's what I mean, is like, so you see these kids that are like 7, 8, 9, you want to just lean over every time and be like, hey, keep coming here. Keep showing up.
Yeah.
You have no idea what you're going to be capable of.
It's so fun to watch the kids class, in my opinion. I like going because I like to sit there and watch them, and watching them get something it's so awesome to see some little kid like land a move, and just do it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's a somersault, but it's like just this huge highlight.
Yeah.
For all of us in the room.
Or watch a kid that couldn't do something last week do it the next week. You're like, that's awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And especially since it's a tactile thing with a partner, I think it's even different than like other sports, like dribbling a soccer ball.
Right.
It's amazing. Look at you. That's awesome. But there's the direct hand-to-hand interaction with another kid, I think adds a different layer. A little serotonin boost, a little posture change,
Yeah.
That sort of like true competition thing.
Yeah.
Whether we're thinking about it that way or not, or whether it's like evident to them or not, that's sort of what's happening.
You see them celebrate.
Yeah.
You for sure. They do their dances and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And a little shimmy.
Uh-huh. And it's fun. The most entertaining stuff to see them do is like the piddly like warm-up games that we'll play in class, like the first one to touch the partner's knee.
Yeah.
You do the jumping jacks or whatever.
Yeah.
That's fun to watch the kids do for sure.
Yeah.
And you can tell it's fun because they really enjoy it. It doesn't feel like they're practicing jiu-jitsu, but they are. Like, that's fundamental skill. Can I give my hand to you?
Right.
I admit, a kid allergy, but I do get some joy out of the joy when it's there. They're just loud for my taste.
Yeah, I totally felt that way until I had my own, and then I was like, oh, baby, no thanks. And now I'm like, let me see that baby.
Yeah, bring it a baby.
Let me see that baby. I'm gonna hold it. I'll look at it.
Yeah, it's how I am with dogs. If I had a kid, I would be that way, I'm sure.
Yeah, I was like this before. Oh, I'm good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you feel qualified to give advice to people relating to jiu-jitsu? In the most general sense, you're not even allowed to answer that. No, you're not qualified. Neither am I.
Yeah.
But what I mean is how you went at it and how you kind of rediscovered and how that felt and where you're at now. What advice could you give people?
Expect it to be hard.
Mm-hmm.
Expect it to be challenging, and that's like that's what brings the gratification of doing it, is that like it's always something new. It's never the results are slow to see. Don't expect anything to happen overnight, I guess. It doesn't. You just all of a sudden you get it. You know what I mean? And you might not even know that you're getting it. And one day you're like, I didn't know I could do that, or I'm just doing it. It's these things that happen over and over, like getting smashed, that, it's like, it seems like you're going nowhere, but you're going somewhere.
A thing I attach to that too is, so I think of everybody in the room as a plus round, an equals round, and a minus round, right? Like, and my plus list is gigantic, obviously. And there's a cluster of guys who wandered in the gym in 2019, and a lot of those are running away from me, but they're still roughly equals rounds for me. And then, people on different paths and longer paths that are kind of equals rounds. That cluster of guys is also getting better. So the roles you have that feel like, oh, wow, look at us. We're doing jiu-jitsu. This is sort of competitive. I got a dominant position. You had a dominant position. Look at us. Well, it's been that way with that cluster of guys for like 3 years. So it's like, I'm getting even better, man. This goes the same way with you every time. But then like, if you could watch a recording, somebody took a video of me and Jared's first roll.
Right.
And then watch like a recent one, you'd be like, whoa, you guys are so much better.
Right.
But because we're both getting better, kind of better, him more than me, it doesn't feel like it. And the guy that's kicked your ass is way up here, and you're slowly closing that gap. So he kicks your ass, and he kicks your ass, and he kicks your ass, and he kicks your ass,
Yeah.
It feels like an ass kicking over and over and over, even if there are those tiny little details.
Yeah.
And then there's the minus rounds that are catching us. The bastards.
Yeah.
And so then you have that
they're younger,
role.
they're faster, they're stronger, probably smarter, more handsome.
And trying hard. Supposed to try hard too. But I forget the cat's name. A young, slender cat. Looks like a male model, actually. He's just got that structure. But we rolled the other day. I was like, damn, man, you're getting good. Look at you. I loved it. You know what I mean? Because I'm not trying to go win championships or anything.
Right.
But it's all of that supports the idea that, like, it's going to suck in its own way, in a good way, over and over and over and over. It's easy to feel like you just aren't getting better because you're all getting better. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not kicking anybody's ass because everybody here's getting better. Of course you're not kicking anybody's ass.
Right.
Unless you're, this top tier of those plus rounds.
Right.
Anyway, that's the thing I remind myself of on a daily basis.
That's a good thing to remind yourself, that you're not the only one that's working hard.
Everybody's getting better.
Some people are working harder.
Yeah.
Some people are better. Some people have other gifts.
And some people are going to pass you. And those guys, that's the same old role. It's going to be the same old role. Be thankful because they're getting better. That means you're getting better. But the day-to-day thing does present itself as a hell of a grind, it seems like.
Yeah, it's definitely a grind. But the best kind, right?
Mm-hmm. Love
the
a
kind that,
grind.
the kind that sharpens the blade.
Yeah. Or dulls it.
Yeah.
I feel duller some days. But
I think sometimes you feel duller, but really,
goes back to that thing.
Yeah.
Everybody's better. I was just happy to like today rolling with Pedro Machado. Like, I sort of moved my hips a little. I put a foot on a thing at some point. I did almost secure a grip here and there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, 2.5 years ago, none of that would have happened.
Yeah.
It completely pointless for me to try any of that. There's obviously nothing I'm going to do against this guy who's a world champion and moving in slow motion because he knows I can't do shit. But it was a demonstration of at least you're knowing things and attempting. There's just nothing you can do against those guys. I didn't even shower after rolling today. I'm just gonna bask in it a little bit.
Just let it soak in.
This is a podcast that should smell like jiu-jitsu. Damn
it. That's something that comes in the future, right?
I think the piece of advice you would give, that I would give based on your little story, is to show up again. Because you bailed. Because life, right?
Yeah.
And that's what everybody does. Like the famous thing is the people who do last long enough to get a blue belt and bail. Well, they're bailing because they're fucking grown adults with like stuff to do, jobs and kids and, the whole deal.
Mm-hmm.
But what's cool about your story, your 8 years to a blue belt, is that you got the fucking blue belt because you came back, you tried it again. I think that's the advice you would give.
Come back.
Come back.
Come back tomorrow.
Try it again.
Try it again.
If it's tomorrow or if it's a decade from now, whenever it needs to be, come back.
Whenever you got time. Whenever it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was a slice of my profession for like the last 15 years was because you and I loosely know each other through
the
YMCA.
Yep.
Yeah, you'd come back and do some kettlebell swings, and I had your little spiel kind of memorized that I would see you do.
Yeah.
I don't think we ever talked then, though.
Not really, no.
Yeah, there's a couple guys at M Theory that I had that sort of like, I recognize you from the gym. Mm-hmm. Part of my specialty there was taking like, stay-at-home moms and two-job dads and being like, let's go do powerlifting. And they'd be like, what the fuck is that? Why would I do any of that? I'm like, you're going to do it because you need to show up again.
Right.
It's the same thing. Like, you did stuff for you or for you and the kid or whatever. Let's revisit some of those things. You know what I mean? Let's stave off the getting old. So that's the part I like about your story.
Going back.
Go back. Do it again.
Just go back. Just try it out again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm really glad I did.
Mm.
It's been a great year.
You've been coming in the morning at all? I haven't seen you. I'm kind of a morning guy.
Yeah, I kind of flip-flop around a little bit. I've been out on the motorcycle a lot lately in the daytime and going more at night. And then this last week, the boy's been out of school and hasn't started his summer camp activities and stuff like that. He's going to the Y.
The in-between weeks are tough.
So, yeah, just because he's not at school and, so I'm like hanging out and doing dad stuff and through the first part of the week. And then he'll start from camp again. And when he's busy during the day, then that frees me up to kind of go ahead and be at the gym during the day. I like the mornings too.
Same.
That 11 to 12 is great.
10:30 to 12:30, we stretch that shit out.
10:30.
Do you know that? Especially like the open mat days.
10:30 to 12. I know.
Like that schedule says 11 to 12, but Ryan
Yeah.
tends to get there at 10:30, so we get there at 10:30, baby, and he doesn't kick us out till 12:30, so we hang out a little bit.
Wow.
Sometimes it's productive, sometimes it's
just chilling.
I lead a crowd of people into bullshit very readily, so if I can focus, usually the group will focus. Yeah.
Awesome.
What else, man?
What else?
You know any jokes?
Do I know any jokes?
That's the highest.
They're all terrible.
Yeah, well, those are the good ones at the same time. It's the highest pressure question I've ever asked on this podcast. Hey, can you tell me any jokes?
My go-to is, why can't you hear when a pterodactyl goes to the bathroom? The P is silent.
I think that's the perfect ending to this podcast.
Yeah.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.